What's up, YouTube? What's up, ladies? What's up, gentlemen? Today, we got an interesting video. We're gonna be reacting to him eating nothing but Dollar Tree food. Now, you know what they say about Dollar Tree. Like, oh yeah, you eat a steak from there, your neck gonna turn green, you're gonna get a crook, and it's not gonna end up coming off. We're gonna see if he survived this. I'm pretty sure, yeah, he gonna survive, but I think he's gonna get sick. Let's get to it. The only thing that I really get from Dollar Tree, or the dollar store, we don't say Dollar Tree. Only thing I get from Dollar Store is chips and something to drink. Let's get it.
For the next 72 hours, I'll be eating nothing but food from the Dollar Tree. And at first I thought I'd be surviving on things like Lunchables, but as it turns out, they have stuff like shrimp, chicken, kind of, and ribeye steak. So I'll be trying all those things, and at the end of 3 days, I'll let you know how much I spent and whether the food is 1, edible, and 2, worth trying for yourself. All right, let's go grocery shopping.
Let's see.
I had scoped out the inventory at the Dollar Tree a few days beforehand, so I had a rough idea of some ingredients I could throw together for some meals. As a lot of you know, the Dollar Tree famously increased their $1 price point to $1.25 in 2022, and they also introduced a $3 and $4 and $5 price point for certain items. Skipped right over $2 apparently. But I want to say up front, for the most part, I stuck to the $1.25 items. The only exceptions were the salmon, the shrimp, and the ribeye that I bought. All right, for my very first meal, I got to work making some biscuits. Unfortunately, I found a mix that was like a just add milk situation. At first, I didn't think they had milk because there wasn't any in the refrigerated section, but I found some on this regular shelf. I guess it's cool to just not refrigerate milk? I don't know. As I was mixing the batter, the consistency was a lot soupier than I had hoped, so they didn't really maintain their shape. They kind of looked more like cookies than biscuits. That cooking spray, by the way, also from the Dollar Tree. I also started to pre-soak these hash browns. The instructions call for cooking oil, which the Dollar Tree did not have as far as I could tell, so I was just going to use margarine instead. Figured I'd see how it goes. The bacon looked surprisingly normal, like it was 4 pretty thick strips for $1.20.
Yeah, right. As soon as you eat that, it's literally over. Like, your taste buds gonna literally switch around. And then by the time, because look, he's doing this for 3 days, right? So by the time you're done with that and you eat something normal or at least better, you might throw up.
25. The biscuits finished baking and were pretty mound looking as I suspected.
But I would eat.
I went ahead and melted some margarine to pour on top. Unfortunately, there were no eggs at the Dollar Tree, and I'm pretty sure I remember seeing eggs there at some point, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, man, maybe that was like a Mandela effect thing. Anyways, I had to settle for some microwave omelets. I topped everything off with a little salt, pepper, and some Texas Pete, and there we go, a full breakfast. I'd rate this meal a 7.5 out of 10. I mean, it was pretty good. I would love to make my own eggs, but these weren't bad. I described the biscuits as good, not great, and I'm sure the hash browns would have tasted better if I had used oil instead of margarine, but the bacon was the star of the show. When lunch came around, I decided to make chicken tacos. I was pretty surprised to find corn tortillas on the shelves. The chicken was bagged and not refrigerated, and I guess the closest thing I've had to that is like canned tuna. I'm just going to go ahead and trust that this is safe to eat.
Tuna. I don't like tuna. I just don't like that. Do not come near me with that, please.
It was like pretty gross looking as I squeezed it out of the bag, but I tried to season it with some minced garlic, some chili powder, and some cilantro lime spice. I feel like the canned goods really shined here, so I had some
I can smell that through the screen.
And then I followed that up with some bagged items. There were some refried beans and some Velveeta nacho cheese. I topped it with sliced jalapenos, also from a can, and some shredded cheese. There was no salsa, which was surprising to me. I could have sworn they had some in the chips aisle, but no dice. Well, no, they did have dice in the game aisle, but there was no salsa. Finally, I topped the tacos off with some crushed corn tortilla chips. And for this meal, I'm going 8 out of 10. I mean, these were a lot better than I expected, and I would say the jalapenos really helped. For dinner, I went ahead and got started on some chocolate cake batter that I was going to use to make some cupcakes. The only issue is that there were 2 key ingredients that were missing: eggs and oil. I have some friends that work in the food service industry, and they've mentioned that for people with allergies, you can sub eggs with unsweetened applesauce. So fortunately, Dollar Tree does have applesauce. And then for the oil, I decided to try to sub margarine. Internet said that should be fine. I also got some icing with Oreo crumbles to top the cupcakes off once they were done. Once those were in the oven, I got started on the main course, which which was
So-
going to be jambalaya. Got this big old sausage link from the refrigerated section, as well as some diced tomatoes, some Cajun seasoning, some chicken broth, and a little bit of hot sauce. Now, most jambalaya recipes call for additional ingredients like celery, for example, but I had to make do with what I had. I
What
also
about
broke
the
out the
rice?
shrimp for this meal, so I thawed it and then peeled it, and then started cooking it. The seafood in particular made me nervous. I don't know why, but I'm skeptical. Finally, I microwaved some bagged rice.
Yeah, you're skeptical. You're skeptical because your brain is telling you, and you're starting to realize, what have I gotten into? And should I really be doing this? But you already 1 day in, so you might as well just go ahead and thug it out. Me personally, I would not eat no shrimp from the dollar store. But that breakfast though, that did
And you
look
guys,
good,
the
though.
sauce was actually looking and smelling amazing. The cupcakes also finished baking around that time. All right, and much to my
That looked good,
surprise,
too.
the jambalaya actually turned out so well. I think I overdid it on the seasoning because it was actually kind of spicy. And the shrimp, against all odds, was pretty good. The sausage, on the other hand, was not good. Kind of tasted like a big giant hot dog. But overall, I'd give this meal a 9 out of 10. And keep in mind, this is like a Dollar Tree adjusted scale. This isn't like a Gordon Ramsay scale. Tomorrow, I'm thinking I'll try some sort of pasta dish, like maybe a chicken Alfredo or some sort of stir fry. Jury's still out whether eating at the dollar store is actually going to save me money, but you know who can help you save? Rocket. I'm headed to a friend's house. I'm excited to see how these cupcakes turned out. I iced the cupcakes once I got there. So we're just going to look right now. You want to go ask your mom if you can have some? Here, I can help you get down. Go ask your mom. What'd mom say? No. She said no. Okay.
You see, of course, you see the mom. First off, you know the mom instinct's gonna kick in. Like, okay, no, one. First off, she's 2. What 2-year-old gonna eat some sweets? Second, I don't know if he told her that that's the Dollar Tree. And third, she's kind of skeptical because she don't know how you cook. Good job.
And then I dug in. I'm guessing this has to do with the ingredient swap, but they were super crumbly and stuck to the paper cups big time. They tasted great, they were just kind of hard to eat. I'd go 8 out of 10. All right, the next morning for breakfast, I got to work on some blueberry muffins, and thankfully that was a just add water situation. I decided to pour the batter straight into the pan this time instead of using the paper cups to hopefully avoid the sticky situation from the cupcakes the night before. I bought this bag of frozen fruit labeled smoothie starter, and it just said to add your favorite liquid, like milk or orange juice or whatever. I tried going
Orange
with some
juice?
almond milk, because I was honestly really surprised that they had alternative milks, and 2, turns out I'm soft and my stomach doesn't handle dairy as well as it used to. And despite what it looks like from my novice technique here, I have in fact used a blender before.
Look
But
how
I'll just
that
cut straight to the
looks.
chase. The smoothie was pretty bad. Like, I guess just bland. I think it could have used way more strawberries and bananas and less spinach and whatever else was in there. But silver lining, I was thankful to work some fruit into my meal plan. The muffins saved the meal though, and were actually pretty good. So overall, 7 out of 10. For lunch, I decided to go for some fancy grilled cheese. Fancy because I wanted to add in
Sumi?
some lunch meat, a little bit of ham, and because I was feeling adventurous, so instead of getting their sliced American cheese, I got this block of pepper jack. I guess block is maybe like too generous of a term. It was too thin to slice, but also too thick to just put right on there. I tried grating it, but it kept breaking into chunks, so I went back to trying to slice it, and in the end it was just kind of like a hodgepodge of cheese. Honestly, this would have been a perfect opportunity to use one of those Olive Garden cheese graters. I sliced the sandwiches. Looking back, probably should have used a diagonal cut, but
Yeah, the thing. Yes. Do y'all cut your sandwiches square or diagonal? I like diagonal because it just feels more. Because, you know, scientifically, it's 20% more of the bread that you're eating instead of just slicing it in the square.
Hindsight's 2020. And then I
So
served
try.
it with a side of veggie straws. For dessert, I made some chocolate chip cookies that were just made from some pre-made refrigerated dough. I preemptively sprayed the baking sheet, but when I read the instructions, it said to put the dough directly on an ungreased baking sheet, so I had to do that and wipe it off. Joke's on me though, because somehow I undercooked the middle of the cookies and they stuck to the pan. Still tasted pretty good though. Overall, an 8 out of 10 meal. For dinner on day 2, I decided to go for that stir-fry meal instead of the chicken Alfredo. I feel like for a chicken Alfredo, the chicken really needs to be a main character, and after seeing the quality of the chicken the night before, I decided that a dish that was a little more heavy on the vegetables might help balance it out. They do have some pre-made meals in the frozen section, like this beef and broccoli dish, but I wanted to see what it was possible to actually cook using the ingredients available. So I started boiling some spaghetti noodles, started cooking that bagged chicken.
When did they
and then
have
added
noodles?
a bag of frozen vegetables, this stir-fry mix, plus some mushrooms from a jar that I found in a different section of the store. And all of that was cooked in this teriyaki marinade. I would say the finished product wasn't bad, like it wasn't as good as the jambalaya, but still a solid meal, so I'll go 8 out of 10. For dessert, I had some mochi ice cream balls, which if you've never had it, it's a Japanese dessert that's basically ice cream rolled in sweet rice dough. I'd give that a solid 9 out of 10. Great portion size. Day 3 arrived, and that was a big...
Okay, now I don't know if you're being too generous, but come on. Like, I know... I just think that he's lying, because you think every meal that you eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner, gonna be a 8, 9?
deal because
No.
day 3 was ribeye day. Just as a side note here, feeling great at this point. 0 negative side effects from the food I was eating. For my final breakfast, I decided it was a good chance to try out the
that,
waffle
Virginia,
maker I
right?
got in case I get the opportunity
That's
to make
the
some waffles
Virginia
for the
apron,
Jonas
right?
Brothers. As I was mixing the batter, it took me a while to get the consistency that I wanted, and just when I thought I had it perfect, I saw some fine print saying that there were different instructions if you were making waffles instead of pancakes. It called for eggs and oil, classic, so I added some applesauce instead, and then I had to go through the whole song and dance again to get the consistency back where I wanted it. I was nervous about messing the waffles up, but I think I did a pretty good job. The sausage was just my
that looked good.
The orange juice was
I
like
would
a
eat
Donald
that.
Duck brand, but it looks pretty fancy once you put it in a mason jar.
Yes, I tried that. I tried the Donald Duck one. I just didn't try the orange juice. I just tried like the normal fruit punch. To me, would I try it again? Absolutely not. But I don't know. Like, cause you know, like if it's real, you're gonna see like the strings of the fruit on it. Just like with the orange juice. I don't know if y'all get it. Like you see, like if you get real orange juice, right? It's like the string still in it.
I topped the waffles off with margarine and syrup, and they were delicious. I would say
Yeah,
maybe
that
not
looked
as
good.
crispy as waffles should be. They were just kind of floppy, but still super tasty. Sausage was decent. Orange juice was great. This was a 9 out of 10 breakfast. For lunch, I decided to cook up some salmon. People kept asking me if I trusted salmon from the dollar store, and I think the answer is like, I don't know. I mean, I think it should be fine, right? I made a garlic lemon butter sauce to cook the salmon.
Hey, as long as you cook it right, you know, then we wouldn't have no problems. But oh yeah, speaking of that, he said orange juice, right? Orange juice is better than apple juice. I don't care what y'all say. I just feel like as a 13, 14-year-old, you shouldn't be drinking no more apple juice. I don't really care what you say. Like, just think about it. You got pancakes or waffles, eggs, sausage, whatever you want. Why would you finish it off with a cold apple juice? Finish that off with a cold orange juice. Come on.
Salmon in and seasoned it with salt and pepper. And while I was cooking that, I microwaved some frozen asparagus. And you guys, honestly pretty solid. The lemon butter glaze helped a ton. It's pretty good. Asparagus was pretty solid as well. I'd give that
He
meal an
knows that
8.5
that's
out of
not
10.
good,
And
so.
for dessert, I had a little ice cream sundae in a cup. When I opened it, they had one of those like flat wooden spoons. And I
you
immediately
can taste
tossed
the
it
wood.
aside because I had a real spoon, so it was almost laughable that I would use that.
Yeah,
Joke's on
you
me
can
though,
taste
because
the
on
wood on
closer
there, yeah.
inspection, you actually needed that spoon to open the second layer of paper to get to the ice cream. Ice cream, I'd say 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Wooden spoon, 0 out of 10. All right, y'all. And for
Yeah.
my final meal, it was time for banquet night. For
You
night
taste
3,
the
I was
wood
having
on there,
ribeye
sure.
steak, mashed potatoes, and green beans. The steak was 5.5 ounces, and I'm pretty sure it was in the $3 section, but you just get the one steak as opposed to the salmon where you get 3 of them in there. I decided to break out the cast iron skillet for this one. As a disclaimer here, I am not a cast iron skillet aficionado, so I'm sure there are things people would do differently. All I ask is that there are no debates about how to clean a cast iron skillet in the comment section. Once again, no oil here, so I resorted to margarine and garlic. I used some steak seasoning that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. So this one was a little tricky for me, so I wanted to leave it tender and cook it medium rare, but I also wanted to make sure it reached a safe internal temperature, especially because I feel like I kind of rushed the thawing process. My meat thermometer also didn't really seem to be working, but I'm sure it'll be fine though. Like, what could go wrong? And I always
And
do.
if you're a real chef, we don't use no utensils. We just use our eyes. And you know, yeah, you're supposed to eat it medium well, medium rare. But just eat it well done. I mean, I never really had it, so I don't
But I
really know.
ended up filling my kitchen with smoke as I cooked the steak. The mashed potatoes were a mix that just required boiling water, so I assembled those and then microwaved the green beans. I topped the steak and the mashed potatoes with margarine for good measure, and then I also added some
What is
crispy
that? He
onions
keeps
to the
saying
mashed potatoes
margarine.
'cause
What
I
is
thought it
that?
would look fancy. All right, the moment of truth. I cut into it and it looked like a pretty good color, like not too overcooked. When I tasted it, I realized that it was pretty over-seasoned, and looking back, I do remember something on the package about it being pre-seasoned, so I probably didn't need to season it a second time. It had a pretty peppery taste.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, I'm not going to sit here and say that you could serve this thing in an Outback Steakhouse. I think that would be offensive to my Australian viewers, but I definitely couldn't believe that I'd gotten this thing from the Dollar Tree. The tenderness was good, but not great. Like, there was a fair amount of grizzle on one side that I couldn't chew through, but it wasn't enough to ruin the experience. Overall, I'd give this meal an 8.5 out of 10.
So you
and
just
again,
rated them all
this
high.
is a Dollar Tree
He's
adjusted
lying.
scale, not like
He's
a
literally
Michelin star
lying.
rating. The mashed potatoes were delightful, and the crispy onions did end up being a nice touch. Green beans I probably should have seasoned. And to cap off my 72-hour experiment, I had a few scoops of cookies and cream ice cream. Fairly freezer burnt, but by the end of the bowl it had gotten pretty melted and smooth. Alright, after 3 days and 9 meals from the Dollar Tree, I spent a total of $96.96.
96.
If you want my take on it, I feel like I ate like a king. It came out to be just under $11 a meal, and that's actually a lot more than my normal grocery budget. On the other hand, I do have plenty of leftovers and ingredients that I can continue using, and you can spend way over $100 on a really fancy dinner for two at a nice restaurant. If you want to try any of these foods, I'd say shrimp, salmon, go for it. Steak, it won't kill you, but you also won't be missing out if you don't have it. Alright, that's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments where you...
Very good video. Y'all comment down. I think we should all just agree to just do a social experiment, you know, at least once a week. Let's just go ahead and just try the dollar store food, and you know, whenever y'all ready, y'all just comment down me, and then we all gonna take turns. Y'all have to try it first, and then I'll try it.